Hi, I'm Jeremy.
I'm Megan.
And we are back with another episode of Recipes and Recollections, our cooking tutorial series where we cook our way through our volunteer cookbook across Colorado. What are we cooking this time?
We are making Miner's Dream Cheese Biscuits. They're going to be delicious.
Yum. Let's start with the ingredients and then stick around at the end and we'll learn a little bit about Horace Tabor. 1 tablespoon baking powder. 2 cups flour. 1 cup extra sharp cheddar cheese. 1/4 of a teaspoon of Morton coarse kosher salt.
Yeah.
Only 1/4 of a teaspoon? That seems like not enough.
It's salty salt. If you watched our last video, I talked about this.
You don't want the salty salt to get too salty and the salty biscuit salt?
Yeah. Although back in the day, I bet they used a lot more salt. So that's like all they had.
Do they use coarse kosher salt?
Probably not. I don't know though. Maybe.
4 ounce, flavor protect wrapper. Gotta protect the flavor. 4 ounce cold butter, aka 1 stick.
Like my sound effects? These are handy half sticks.
Why do you like the half stick?
If I'm making half of a recipe, if I was making half of this recipe, I'd just need one of these. Instead of having to unwrap a whole stick and cut it in half.
What a hassle.
Yeah, it is.
2/3 cup milk. You remember when Pyrex used to make like good stuff?
That's a good one.
I mean, it's just glass. Yeah, pull out
Do you mean
the old school Pyrex.
like our vintage Pyrex?
Oh my gosh.
So pretty.
You want some cheese?
No. I don't want cheese.
Sharp cheddar.
No. You
Thanks
have
for-
cheese or something in your beard. Gross.
I don't know. I think I just inhaled some cheese. I don't.
Wow.
I don't know how I could have got cheese in my beard.
No idea. Definitely not from scooping it into your mouth like that. Alright. Are we ready?
It's recording.
Okay. We are making Miner's Dream Cheese Biscuits. And they're gonna be delicious. I love biscuits. So the first thing we're gonna do, well, I already did this, but preheat your oven to 425. And you can either grease or parchment line 2 big cookie sheets or sheet pans. If you only have 1, you can just do this in 2 batches. This recipe says it makes 16, so that's why I'm gonna do 2 pans.
Good thing there's only 2 of us.
We get 8 biscuits each. That's awesome. So the first thing I'm gonna do is mix in my flour. So 2 cups of just regular flour. This is a ½ cup measure, so you'll see me do this 4 times if you're wondering. Okay, so we have our flour. So typically when you're baking, a lot of times what you'll do is, you know, mix most of your dry ingredients together and then kind of slowly introduce the wet ingredients. So our dry ingredients are our flour, which we have, and then 1 tablespoon of baking powder. I was really lucky to find this because it's still been kind of hard to find. I think a lot of people are still baking all the time. And 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And I'm just gonna use my hands. My hands are clean, but I'm gonna mix this just to kind of combine the flour, the baking powder, and the salt together so you have a nice combined mix.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Oh, fancy.
Typically, it's very easy to find baking powder at the grocery store, but since the quarantine has been going on, even this is over 2 months in, it's still very hard to find. So I think a lot of people have really adopted baking as a hobby and a way of life now, which I think is cool. This is what helps make the biscuits rise and be more fluffy. If not, they would just be pretty dense. which I'm assuming is kind of what old-timey biscuits were.
Is that the most essential baking item, the rolling pin?
No. You don't need a rolling pin. You could use a wine bottle, you could use a glass.
I like how you went immediately for wine bottle. The first thing you could think of was a wine bottle.
It works for, it's cylindrical, it's like the same width across. Yeah. Baking powder is what's gonna make these really light and fluffy. You know, I think most biscuits sort of historically kind of back in the day were like water and flour and salt. So the next thing we're gonna do is cut up our butter. So in our ingredient list, it's 4 ounces of cold butter cut into 8 pieces. So I'm just gonna cut these, and then what we'll do is we'll start to sort of mix them into our dry ingredients. They'll get kind of crumbled in there. Butter is sticky. Now we have our butter cut up. I cut it into more than 8 pieces, but you just want some small pieces to start. And then what we're gonna do is drop those in. You want this to be pretty cold, so I'm gonna try to work quickly because we wanna keep those kind of cold butter pieces in our mix. Butter hands.
Butter fingers.
Oh, I missed it. I missed a good joke opportunity.
You set it up.
Butter fingers, all right. In our instructions, it says using a pastry blender, which I do not have. It helps just like break up butter when you're mixing it into like flour. So this is really good for making any kind of dough. What I have seen and done before is just to take 2 butter knives and you kind of just crisscross cut them to make the butter pieces smaller and to help incorporate it into the mix. And what it says is we're looking for a mixture that resembles coarse meal. So we're gonna just start doing that. So what I'm gonna do is to grab a piece of butter, and then I'm gonna kind of just use my fingers and kind of just like smush it up.
Butter fingers again.
Butter fingers again, so that it creates kind of these little like sheets of butter. So once you kind of cut it up into some smaller pieces, then you can sort of, sometimes I'll even just grab a handful and kind of just smush it.
Smush it? Is that the technical term?
Yeah, smush.
Smush. Give it 2.3 smushes.
We want it to feel like coarse meal, right? That's our kind of indicator in our recipe. Right now, we still have lots of big chunks of butter, so we're gonna keep working this. But we don't wanna do it for too long, like I said. We wanna keep that butter nice and cold.
What's your favorite thing about the kitchen?
About this kitchen or like a kitchen?
Both.
This kitchen, I love this island. I've never had a kitchen with an island before. Yeah, hi, sorry. It's confusing because he's over there and asking me stuff, but you're over there.
Do you prefer Kitchen Island or South Pacific Island?
South Pacific Island. I had to think about it though. I do love cooking. And I have a kitchen in the South Pacific with an island.
Tahitian kitchen.
Ooh, you like outdoors?
That'll be the second series. We just gotta get funding from History Colorado.
We gotta go to Tahiti.
Yeah, Tahitian kitchen.
Oh, that'll be amazing.
Doesn't really fit with the whole Colorado history mission though.
We'll find a way. We've really kind of combined the butter in, and so this is still, you know, kind of dry, but we have these nice little chunks of butter in here, and it's, you know, looking really good. Add cheese and milk and mix gently with a fork.
With a fork? Does it specify with a fork?
It says with a fork.
Nothing else.
Yeah, a spoon will not do. So, should we do milk first or cheese first? I'm gonna do cheese first.
Oh yeah, cheese is way better than milk. Milk is just cheese that hasn't become cheese yet.
Milk wants to be cheese. And if it's lucky, it gets to be cheese.
Yeah.
If it's unlucky, it just gets to be milk.
Worst case scenario, it ends up in a Cookie Crisp cereal bowl.
I don't think that's the worst case scenario.
Count Chocula?
Oh, Count Chocula's great.
What's the worst cereal?
Kix.
No, grape nuts. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's
grape
not
nuts is the worst.
Not a good one.
No flavor. This is like vertical over the top shot.
Hands and pans is what that's called.
Oh.
It's a style.
Now you know, hands and pans.
It used to be very popular, but. Alright.
We're gonna bring it back.
The important thing here is, and it also says this in the recipe, do not overmix. So we're really just looking for this to kind of come together. And then we'll lay it out and knead it. We are going to knead this on a well-floured surface. I just do it on my countertop, but whatever surface works for you. I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of flour, and I'm gonna dump our dough out. It's a little bit shaggy, but that's okay. You're just gonna sort of knead it together. We don't wanna knead it too much, because when you over knead stuff, sometimes it can get a little bit tough, and we want these to be nice and soft. I'm just gathering it, kind of folding it, gently kneading it. This beautiful dough, beautiful. All right, and now we are gonna roll it out and we are going to cut out our biscuits. Okay, so let's get rolling. Get it? I'm never ever good at making circles when I roll stuff out. So I just kind of, make it circle-ish. Cut using a 2-inch cutter. What I'm gonna do is use a cup.
Where'd you get the cup?
I got it for free at a bar.
At a bar? Was it at a bar?
It was at a bar.
Oh. They were handing out glass cups?
I got this for you.
Oh, well, how
Because
thoughtful.
you like Tommyknocker beer.
The green chili in particular.
Yeah, Tommyknocker green chili beer. If you want to sponsor this, I'd be...
Not as good as Soulcraft.
Soulcraft also good, but...
Soulcraft's a little better.
Okay.
But they never gave me a free glass cup.
So we're gonna see how this cuts. It does have a little bevel, so we'll see. If not, I'm gonna try a different one. Bling! There you go.
Perfect.
Beautiful round biscuit.
Maybe that's what that cup was actually for.
The other thing I'm doing is flouring the rim just so that it doesn't get stuck. I'm gonna press it down. Beautiful. Beautiful! I'm so excited about these. So I punched out 6, and then obviously still have lots of scraps. So I'm just gonna reform that and kind of just pat it and roll it back out, and then cut out as many more as I can fit from this second batch. Second batch. Again, using our cup to cut out our little biscuits. Almost done. Home stretch. You might just have to have like a weird shape extra. We have all of our biscuits on our tray. And what we're gonna do, pop them in the oven. This, like I said, is a 425 degree oven. And what I did in my oven is I have 2 racks and I spaced them out. So I have one closer to the bottom and one closer to the top. And what I'm gonna do is look at the cooking time, bake for 12 to 14 minutes. So what I'm gonna do is put them in for half that time, so probably like 6-7 minutes. And then I'm gonna just take them out and swap them so that the ones that are on the bottom don't cook too much on the bottom, and the ones that are on the top rack don't cook too much on the top. You want them to be evenly cooked, but when you have 2 trays and not a big oven, that can be kind of tricky. So we're gonna pop these in. So there's a note in here that says that this is a great improvement on the Celeritis biscuit. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Please correct me if I'm not. The diet staple of early miners, which was made of flour, water, and the leavening agent Celeritis.
What is leavening?
Leavening means it helps it lift. So when you are baking, you need some kind of leavening agent. So, because if you just baked flour and water or milk, it's gonna be like pretty hard. So things like baking powder, baking soda, they react, they cause these bubbles that create air pockets in your baked goods. Should I eat some chocolate chips while we're waiting? I can't stop eating these, they're so good. This is super fun, a very doable recipe, not a lot of ingredients, but a really good payout. Good for a snack, good for a fun project, good as a side to a meal, for breakfast. Yeah, happy biscuit eating.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Recipes and Recollections. I hope your Miner's Dream Cheese Biscuits came out as good as ours did. We ended up making breakfast sandwiches. They were delicious. So now that we've done the cooking portion of this video, I'd like to talk a little bit about history. And since these are Miner's Dream Cheese Biscuits, I want to focus on Colorado mining history. Now, when you talk about Colorado mining history, the name that most frequently comes up is Horace Tabor. So let's learn a little bit about him. Horace Tabor was born in Holland, Vermont on November 26, 1830. He grew up to become a stonecutter. He married Augusta Pierce and the two moved to Kansas to live on a farm. In 1850, Augusta, Horace, and their son Maxie moved to Colorado to mine for gold. Tabor mined at California Gulch. His wife ran a shop, cooked, and took in boarders. They made a good amount of money with the shop, but Tabor wanted more. He moved the family to Leadville. Tabor became postmaster and his wife opened another shop. One day he gave supplies to two miners in exchange for the promise of 1/3 of their profit. The miners struck silver and the Tabors became rich. In 1879, Tabor moved his family to Denver. He started several mining companies and spent a lot of money. He also donated money to build the Tabor Grand Opera. He became lieutenant governor and a senator. Tabor's wife was unhappy with his spending. She believed they should save money. Their marriage fell apart and Augusta divorced Horace in 1883. Tabor then married Elizabeth Baby Doe McCourt. They became known as the Silver King and Queen. Many people thought Tabor's divorce was scandalous and disapproved of his new family. However, Horace and Baby Doe had a loving marriage and two daughters, Elizabeth Bondul Lily Tabor and Rosemary Silver Dollar Echo Tabor. The Tabor mines made millions of dollars. This allowed the Tabors to travel, wear expensive clothing, and attend grand parties. The Tabor family's wealth disappeared in 1893 with the silver crash and economic depression. The value of silver dropped and the Tabor silver mines no longer made money. The family lost their wealth and had to sell their mansion. Tabor died in 1899, wrongly insisting that his mines would be profitable again.